This guy is the strongest hunter in the world. He was there to receive an honor for it. People were watching on TV all across the country. Even t-shirts were being sold. His friend told Kong to say nice words in his speech. If he did, she would give him a prize that night. All the most important people were there. Then the world's top 100 sighed and said, "I don't care about this. All I ever cared about was making money." Everyone was in shock. Kong Young wants to live his own way. If that goes against the rules, he doesn't care about facing everyone. One day, the peaceful world ended. Every normal person saw a system window appear in front of them. Then the sky turned red. Giant towers covered the sky all around the world. They hovered in the sky, and from inside them, various creatures emerged. All the monsters went after the humans. An orc was about to attack a young girl, threatening to ruin her makeup. It was on this day that the first person who decided to fight the monsters appeared. Humanity would not fall without a fight. If the world was turning into a game, they would be the players. Some people used their powers to protect others as much as possible. The new rules of the world were announced. All towers had to be destroyed before they could break, and the monsters inside escaped to attack the planet. The strongest players quickly became famous for their power and determination. But now, the stance of the strongest of them all had shaken the world. The protagonist was at home watching what people were saying about him. Many of them are his fans and don't understand why he said what he did. They said they were going to boycott him and wouldn't buy any of his t-shirts. Kong went to the window and saw that reporters had decided to camp out in front of his house. Kong decided to go outside and give them some motivational words. He told them they should realize the danger that was nearby. None of them knew what he meant until a massive tremor knocked them all down. They looked up at the sky and saw the towers over the city. As the tower break approaches, the floating tower gets closer and closer to the ground. Their mission was simple: attack the tower and save the world from destruction. Only Kong Yusung stayed completely calm. He just handed out a few pamphlets and walked away. He soon arrived at his spot. No rats here, he thought. Just as he predicted, the first day of the new season was quiet. His system then pinged. Most of the monarchs were thrilled to see the clown monarch's contractor. The Iron Monarch was practically cackling, giving his blessing to someone who had tossed aside their sword. The Blizzard Monarch also laughed, bestowing her blessing on the one who brought the mirror. Kong just shrugged, telling him to keep laughing. His system then buzzed again. His fencing aptitude shot up, and his magic skill increased too. These weren't random boosts. They meant something. Just like back at the UN Hall, he was here to grab reward from these transcendent beings, these monarchs who loved watching players like him. Next, his system flared. The Golden Legends Monarch was laughing like crazy, giving his blessing to the one who chooses legends. This specific blessing came with a ton of perks. Kong Yusung wanted all those benefits right now. His system chimed. The one who chooses legends had a huge impact on a player's geisha. Just like that, he scored some legendary gear. It was a black cloak with a golden cross called Aureate Fanaticism, boasting some insane stats. Kong now had a legendary defensive item, a heroic rank skill, and a heroic rank artifact. He was absolutely ready to hit the tower. But then his system popped up with another alert. The Golden Legends Monarch had just revoked his blessing for the one who chooses legends. Instead, he blessed Kang's t-shirt business. Kong Yusung stepped into the tower and immediately ran into enemies. This place was crawling with Moonblood orcs. His mission: defeat the orc boss waiting on the highest floor. Kong wondered if now was the perfect time to test out his heroic rank skill. His skill had some incredible attributes. He activated the Frozen Sword, boosting his ice compatibility even further. That triggered an extra effect, Cold Breath. Kong gave a quick thanks to the Blizzard Monarch. Then he unleashed his new skill. Ice storms erupted from him, engulfing the orcs and freezing huge groups of them solid. The enemies totally outnumber him, but they can't fight back. Kong Yuong freezes them all and pushes forward. His system immediately flashes rewards. He absolutely crushes the first floor. He even wonders if he'll have to save the world again. The system announces second floor. Kong Yusung arrives and finds a massive orc horde already setting up camp. He's surprised. Suddenly, one orc senses him. They roar that the warrior is here and will take them to Valhalla. They're ready to fight with honor and die. Kong Yusung simply tells them to wait because he's sending them straight to paradise. A short while later, the fight is totally over. He hits the fourth floor, pleased with all the leveling up. His only complaint: no rest stops between floors. As he thinks this, a system alert flashes. Song of War Guards are blocking the boss room entrance. Kong Yusung thinks this is perfect. It's the ideal way to draw everyone in to face the elite monster he is. Right after his system announces the Steel King has blessed the Song of War Guards. The orcs feel this power boost and rev up shouting that Valhalla awaits them. They want to chase the warrior who will lead them there. They chant an anthem of blood and steel, all for the Steel King. Kong Yusung notes his enemies aren't even giving him a chance to breathe, but he doesn't care. He attacks anyway. In the middle of the fight, he spots something new. One enemy charges at him with pure fury, forcing Kong Yuong to pull back for a second. Still, he keeps fighting relentless. But then he realizes his attacks aren't doing enough damage. This must be an elite warrior, meaning he's resistant to ice. Kong Yusung pulls back to rethink his strategy. He needs a fatal blow, but he doesn't have the right skill for it right now. With his current gear and stats, he's basically in the semi-final class. The cherry on top is the Frozen Sword. It's a heroic rank skill and a heroic artifact. Kong Yuong opens his inventory. He's not sure he can handle using this item, though. The system warns there's a huge risk involved. But then the message changes, reminding him that those who don't act can't go to Valhalla. Without hesitation, the enemies hurl their axes. Kong Yusung decides there's no time to hesitate. He activates his artifact, the Frozen Heart. Instantly, the essence of powerful ice magic surges. His equipped skill cards now boosted his ice effects. Kong wasn't about to settle for scraps when he could have a gold mine of items. The enemies screamed that war was war, attacking him with everything they had, but they never saw his ice armor coming. Not only that, his attacks got way stronger, letting him crush his enemies and level up at the same time. Kong was much stronger now. He used his ice sword, blocking every hit. He froze enemies mid-fight, even shattering some of their weapons. He became relentless, leveling up with every kill. The orcs hated this. They kept attacking, but Kong hit back with full force, tossing enemies far away. He could even conjure multiple ice weapons. Now, one enemy noticed, but before he could react, Kong finished him. His agility was insane. Enemies barely saw him move. Kong declared the floor cleared, saying the stats were all wrong. With only one orc left, he decided to deliver the final blow. He wiped out all enemies and leveled up again. His system flashed, a reward pack of random skill cards and 1,000 conquest points. He checked a new card, a skill called Stab. He didn't love it, but admitted it was better than nothing. He equipped it, and its effects shot up. He moved to the next floor and found a girl shocked he was still alive. Kong apologized for not dying, but the girl said it was great. He could only sell items if he lived. She was behind the Mechanical Equipment King, an automatic vendor. She told him to use everything he'd collected before he died. He asked to see the item list. The girl insisted a legendary card would pop out if he bought a pack. He told her he believed her, but first bought a speed potion and a fire potion. The girl kept pushing for him to buy card packs, but Kong just ignored her and left. He reached the final boss's floor. The boss asked if it was time for war, telling him to fight with honor and die. The boss attacked. Kong threw up a magic shield. Kong wondered if he hadn't just been fighting dwarves and orcs all this time. Kong tossed a fire potion, engulfing the enemy in flames. But it wasn't enough. The boss escaped through the fire, but Kong declared it wasn't over. With icy slashes from his blade, he attacked, piercing the boss's body and killing him with one hit. Kong boasts that his blessing makes even a basic skill super strong. But then he notices it's not over. The enemy stands up again, and his system blares. Berserk ability activated. Kong just scoffs, saying the game is too easy, not fun at all. The final boss returns, promising to end Kong, which only makes Kong even more annoyed by this persistent enemy. Kong knows that Shockwave alone could be lethal if it connects, but that's a big if. The enemy attacks, but Kong dodges it with incredible agility. The boss relentlessly tries to hit him, but Kong effortlessly evades every single strike. Meanwhile, Kong was secretly counting the seconds. As soon as his mental timer hits 0, he announced, "It's time." He chugs another potion he bought earlier and utterly demolishes the boss. His system instantly congratulates him on his victory, awarding him a package of cards and recognizing him as the first to defeat that tower. Kong admits it's almost scary how smoothly things are going. He opens his reward, already guessing it's not the greatest haul. Still, he checks. The first card, super common, exactly what he expected. He immediately dismisses it as complete junk. After a bit, Kong moves on to the tower of the demon-worshipping imps. The enemies immediately notice him and group up, ready to attack. Kong calmly waits for all of them to get close, then hits them with a huge ice attack, freezing as many as possible. He's having a great time, mostly just trying to level up his skills. He easily clears this wave of enemies, and then a new one begins. This time, even more imps appear, but Kong finds it completely insignificant. Kong tells the enemies he'll get through all of them without any difficulty, and he makes good on his word. His powerful ice skills easily defeat every single foe. Not only that, but his ice skills are leveling up fast. Then, out of nowhere, his system blares. Tower boss appeared. The heretic imp boss boasts he'll honor the Demon King by spilling Kang's blood. The Emperor orders his faithful followers to rush Kong, but they are all instantly defeated. Kang's ice magic is simply way stronger than anything they can throw at him. Kang's system confirms that the tower boss now has the icy status effect. Kong says this enemy showed up at the perfect time for him to test something. His system reveals a bonus. The glacial synergy reinforcement effect has increased both the number and types of additional ice weapons he can create. This means Kong can now create even more chilling weapons than before. He decides to test this out right away, conjuring a whole volley of ice spears and launching them at the remaining enemies. The imps were already in trouble, but now they're just helpless, frozen punching bags. Kong shows no mercy. He completely clears the tower, earning some sweet bonuses along the way. One bonus is an equipment ticket, but it's pretty useless since he already has a legendary item. Kong also notices something cool. His frozen blade stays strong no matter how many pieces he splits it into. With 8 blades, he doesn't feel much different for now, but then the system pops up telling him to greet his shadow. Turns out, one of the tower's factions is super interested in his recent performance. The system gives him the full rundown on this mysterious group. And next thing you know, he's meeting the Dark Council. The head of the council recognizes him. He asks if Kong wants to meet his shadow again and join their whispers. Kong thinks this sounds pretty good. He tells them he'd love to join right away, but there are tons of other factions out there just trying to take down the Dark Council. The leader responds, saying a veil will cover Kong, too, and asks if he's forgotten the dark power. Kong quickly says, no way. He only mentioned it because he knows exactly how that power operates. He figures words alone won't get him what he wants. Kong makes his move. He demands a shadow beast. And if they can manage that, they might as well throw in a rare dark element ability card. The shadow leader warns him not to summon his own existence, because as a mortal, his time in this world is fleeting. Kong fires back, saying there's no way he can work with them. He's done so much for everyone, and they won't even return the favor. He declares they'll never meet again. But the shadow leader isn't letting him go that easily. Reluctantly, the leader agrees to Kang's demands. And just like that, a system message pops up for Kong. He's got a shadow beast, plus a special achievement for adopting a cat, and a cool 100,000 achievement points. Kang's almost used to these wild system surprises. But hold on, that was just one of his demands. He still wanted that rare shadow skill card. Once he gets his card, Kong finally agrees to join the Dark Council. His affinity with them instantly shoots up. Leaving the council, he starts thinking this season is going to be epic. He should totally keep pushing while things are on a roll. Or maybe, just maybe, he should stop now while he's feeling awesome and focus on recovering. As these thoughts swirl, someone suddenly calls out to him. Kong sigh, already bracing himself for whatever comes next. Boom! A whole bunch of reporters show up, swarming him for an interview. They've already caught wind of his latest achievements. But Kong is totally exhausted, so he just gives them a bunch of vague answers. Reporters keep pushing for information, asking about his latest actions. They even mention this season's race is super intense. Kong then asks how many people were actually involved. The reporters tell him it was 5 veterans from the Chinese Party Guild led by the Swordmaster, but 4 players died in that attack. So Kong immediately counters, saying that guy sounds more like a shield master since he used human shields. The reporters wonder if he's trying to provoke an enemy with a comment like that. Kong just asks how many people the Swordmaster brought. Someone tells him he was alone. Kong declares the warrior must have been full of energy from day one, but he secretly thinks it's dumb to jump into the race so early. Everyone knows the saint is busy hoarding skills and items first. Plus, the gravedigger isn't even joining the game yet. He's focused on getting tier 4 items. The reporters ask for his thoughts on all this. Kong just says the warrior is crazy. That makes them think he's not planning to compete against the Swordmaster, but then he adds that he's also crazy. If he has to pick between being a winning or losing lunatic, he'd rather be the one who wins. He then asks if anyone can help him reach the tier 5 tower. Soon after, Kong finds himself alone. He mutters. There's only one thing stopping him from glorious victory. He notices lots of people betting on him to win. For Kong, this is no longer just a battle for pride. He knows the Swordmaster is probably already inside, ready to play for keeps. Kong decides to enter the tower. The system immediately pops up with a mission summary. Kavali's Empire or Radia Kingdom. Kong has to fight for whichever side he thinks is more just. He quickly figures out the communists are all about imperialism. Even if he had to pick, he'd go with the kingdom anyway. Why? Because in this game, the underdog always gets the best rewards. So, he chooses the Radia Kingdom and heads straight for the Palace Fountain. When he arrives, everyone notices a new player and totally freaks out with joy. They shout that the visitor is here to save them, but Kong isn't happy with what he sees in the strategic planning room. Their gear tells him battle is close. He walks closer, asking who's in charge. Silence. Then, a man steps forward calling Kong insolent. He demands if Kong can't respect royal laws, especially in front of Lord Muta Dusham, the commander, royal heir, and leader of the Dusham Marisat. Kong immediately asked the leader if they expected to win the battle. The leader confidently said yes, even with scarce resources. He boasted about his own mental strength, saying it knew no limits. He also claimed his kingdom's men possessed the boundless mentality of hundreds of ordinary people. Kong couldn't stand hearing such nonsense. He punched the man, declaring that he would give the orders from now on. The other men seemed quite satisfied with this. They hadn't been happy with their former leader. After the meeting, Kong had recruited around 5,000 commoners for the infantry. About 900 of these recruits knew how to use a bow. This was a huge difference compared to the Empire soldiers. The only bright spot in this whole mess was that in this world, there were no grudges or magic. Also, the Sword Master wasn't just a player who relied on brute force. He was the apostle of the Iron Monarch. Normally, a standard player could only contract with one monarch. Only that monarch could give them rewards. But Kong was special. He received rewards from several monarchs. All thanks to the clown monarch who had changed him into this unique type of player. A monarch could have many players, but only one player held the title of apostle. That player was heavily favored by the monarch. A monarch would go all out to help their apostle, but of course, there were always restrictions. For the Sword Master, abilities linked to the Iron Monarch couldn't be used as his main attack. Because of this, Kong didn't think this fight was too bad, but he knew the soldiers would feel a different kind of pressure. You never truly knew how much of the world inside the tower was real. It was impossible to tell if these people were alive or just virtual beings existing within the tower. Either way, there was nothing he could do about it. He just needed to find a way to boost the soldiers' morale. Right before the battle, the soldier leader announced a great visitor had come to the kingdom of Roya. He also said Muta Dusham was dismissed as commander and the player himself would now lead them. The soldiers quickly realized their incompetent leader was gone. They saw this as a really good sign. Just this news alone was enough to lift their spirits, making Kong realize he had worried for nothing. But then he noticed a shift in their behavior. One of them reported that the Empire had launched an attack. The archers immediately prepared to act, launching their arrows at the enemies. An archer reported that the Imperial Army's offense was strong because they were at the front of the gates. He added that subduing them there would break the enemy's advantage. Kong decided Dart Beast was too much a name and suggested calling it Blackie instead. Standing next to Blackie, he told the creature to show its abilities. The enemies wondered what on earth they were seeing. They noticed something big and dark on the castle walls. Their leader warned them not to break formation no matter what happened. He spots something off. Before he can react, Blackie blasts forward, ambushing the enemy. The entire army freaks out, trying to run. Their leader shouts to forget the castle and just escape, but before anyone can move, everyone just freezes in place. Kang says Blackie was super hungry and it was time for a meal. The dark creature then devour everything in its path. Meanwhile, the remaining enemy forces keep fighting Roya's men from the wall. The protagonist keeps attacking from distance. Then he realizes the Sword Master isn't even there. He explains that a player showing themselves helps allies, but also reveals their position to enemies. Still, this isn't a fight to the death. Just like any other game, the tower has rules. Lose a fight and you're just kicked out, making the attack a failure. Players can't kill each other inside, but the tower itself can. The protagonist thinks he won't die, but losing is still not an option. He starts to figure out his opponent's strategy. His allies got a morale boost, but that doesn't guarantee a win. Time passes. The fight is almost over, but the opponent is still a no-show. The protagonist wonders if the enemy will only show up after everyone is dead. Then something wild happens. The Sword of the Fallen soldiers start moving on their own. Roya's army is confused, but the protagonist instantly knows. He declares, this is the adversary player's move, wondering how they got a heroic rank skill card. He guesses it might be pure luck, or maybe the monarch himself gave the enemy this power. Kong gets attacked, but easily dodges. He figures his adversary has been preparing this whole time. But Kong says he also wasn't just sitting around waiting to be attacked. He adds that it's too late for his opponent now, because his own level up is complete. Suddenly, more enemy soldiers appear, and the protagonist realizes they're all targeting him. The battlefield has truly become a game, but he declares this won't be enough to beat him. He also points out that the more swords there are, the less precise their manipulation becomes. Kong summons a magic shield, protecting him from the incoming blades. He warns that if the enemy wants to win, they'll need to try a lot harder than that. Next, he sees something coming straight for him. He quickly realizes his main opponent has finally arrived. His system then blares an alert. The Archangel's shield just reflected the enemy's attack. The reflection creates a blinding burst of light for the enemy, and the shield shatters. Kong, the protagonist, asks sarcastically if his opponent really thought he could take over the fortress with just sword manipulation. The adversary has no idea how to respond. He just asks Kong what he thinks winning in this tower actually means. The adversary declares that even if the fortress falls and everyone in the kingdom dies, the Empire can't truly win unless he defeats Kong. Kong points out that his opponent knew this all along, but still chose this path. So, Kong asks him if he honestly believes he can win. His opponent firmly agrees, claiming a player is a hero, and a hero's job is to protect the world. He argues that a bully who ignores this duty isn't fit to be the hero king. Kong compliments his opponent's passionate words. Then, he asks if this means his own guild members aren't part of the world his opponent claims to protect. The adversary is furious. He snarls that Kong won't get a beautiful death. Kong calmly replies he plans to live a lot longer, wondering why his opponent is so angry. Their direct duel begins right then, with Kong attacking with everything he has. Kong declares his opponent's talents are weak and unfinished. The adversary suddenly realizes Kong isn't fighting alone. After witnessing Dodge's Dark Beast, he states that the monarchs are watching. He knows Kong isn't foolish enough to hold back and not fight for victory. Kong says it's not quite what his opponent thinks. He asks why things have to be this way. His adversary snaps back, calling Kong ignoble and accusing him of using words to exploit psychological weaknesses. But Kong quickly realizes his words are being completely ignored. The adversary sees Kong leaving and demands to know what he's doing. Then a chilling realization hits him. Kang's actions from the very start, his immediate revelation of his presence, unlike the adversary's own stealth, wasn't meant to inspire his allies. It was to draw out every single enemy. Desperate, the adversary tries to chase Kong, frantic to stop whatever he's planning. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Army's command room, the officer in charge frantically discusses how to stop the monster they're up against. He becomes enraged, demanding action. His men try to calm him, but it's too late. Kong appears right there. Kong announces that winning a game isn't limited to just one strategy. The soldiers are stunned to see a player standing before them, wondering if their gods have abandoned them. They know their duty is to protect Duke Barmet, but they stand no chance. Kong mows them all down with effortless speed until a new figure steps forward. The rival player watches as Kong effortlessly takes down the Imperial soldiers. He absolutely hates what he's seeing. Kong remarks that his opponent should have stripped the officers and hidden them among the regular soldiers. He tells his adversary that all he needs to do is halt the Empire's push. Surely his opponent already knew that. Kang's rival absolutely loses it. Meanwhile, Kang's system pops up. It tells him the palace siege is done. All the main leaders are dead and the rest of the enemy army fled. His rival still wants revenge, though. But Kong just cares about his mission reward. His system flashes his options. Kong mockingly thanks his opponent for the opportunity. He totally scoffs at the guy, even when his rival swears vengeance. Kong just wants his prize. He picks sword manipulation, which grants him steel synergy. This power boosts all metal attribute cards and skills. His enemy yells that it's not over. Kong couldn't care less. Kong just logs out, leaving his rival to rant to himself. Back in the real world, Kong doesn't look so happy. A monarch asks him through his system if he wants to be a hero. Kong realizes he always dreams this at this time. He always makes the same choice. The monarch warns him he'll be a hero among heroes, but no one will ever understand him for the rest of his life. He'll also become a total joke and laughingstock. The monarch says he'll never find anything so tragic and comedic anywhere else. Kong knows this dream has repeated countless times. This monarch, known as Clown, made a deal with Kong. Since then, his life has gone exactly as predicted. The next day, Kong wakes up to his phone ringing. He checks his phone and sees he missed 4 calls. Plus, someone is already banging on his door. Kong had been wondering why his dream felt so real. Now he's wondering about all this noise so early. He opens the door and sees the general manager. Kong asks what a big shot like him is doing here. This is Park Tak, or Master Park. He tells Kong he got too cocky just because he was a bit tough on him. Park is a top 30 player who made a deal with a monarch of assassins. Everyone knows him as Deadly Blade. He's also the general manager of the National Intelligence Agency, taking direct orders from the Blue House. Kong sees him up close. He says the manager looks tired and asks if he also had to run around on the first day. Park tells him he has no time for that. Park explains that since the season's first day, warmongers worldwide are putting players on the front lines. They're creating a wave of destruction. He also asks Kong why he didn't answer his phone since the sun's been up for a while. Kong simply replies he was sleeping. Park quickly pointed out how messy Kang's life was. Ironically, Park then tripped over some trash and fell. He got angry and told Kong to clean up his act instead of just selling King Hero t-shirts. Kong felt a little embarrassed. Park joked that with Kang's lifestyle, he seemed more like a son of darkness. Park also wondered why Kong still ate at the same local restaurant 3 times a day, especially since he'd made good money. Kong simply said he liked the food there. Park said that made him want to try the food someday. Kong then started thinking about his history with the manager, a story that went way back, even before the world changed into a game. Kong was already a well-known player by age 15. The local internet cafe, where Kong spent all his time, saw all his amazing skills. The manager there, Park Tashik, thought Kong was incredible. He even told Kong to go pro. Kong was just playing for fun back then. But the manager convinced his parents. He offered to guide Kong and help him develop his talent. Then when Kong turned 18, he was ready for his official debut. But before that could happen, the first season hit the end of peace. And with it came the very first tower break they had to face. Kong, just like everyone else, was terrified. He saw the horrors firsthand and nearly died that day from one of the creatures. But luckily, someone was there for him. Manager Park showed up and fought for Kong. He defeated the creature, giving them a chance to escape together. But for Kong, the loss was huge. That very same day, he lost his parents. Alone in the world, Kong felt completely lost. Manager Park became his only hero. That's how their deep friendship started, and it lasts to this day. Back in the present, Kong asked what Park wanted at his house. Park told him he was there because of the association. Kong then asked if the association still wanted him for something. The KAC, or Korean Players Association, is the only guild in the entire nation. It's an absolute power that manages all players. Park asked Kong if he knew about the Players Academy the association built last season. Kong then asked if Park meant the slave factory. Park confirmed it. He said the first graduation exam is happening in about a week, and they want Kong to be there. Park assumes Kong won't go, just telling him not to worry about these things. But to his surprise, Kong says he will attend. He wants to check out the new players, the future of the nation. But he has a condition. Kong demands the association change the exam to 5 o'clock the very next morning. The next day, with just 5 minutes until the exam, the academy is already packed with participants. One attendee recognizes Kong and realizes he's there to assess them. Another student scoffs, figuring everyone will graduate anyway. He just hates the early start, calling Kong arrogant for picking such a ridiculous time. Soon, the president of the ACGA asks Kong what he thinks of his students. Kong declares they've been babied from the beginning. Lee Sanango looks a little embarrassed, but politely asks Kong to evaluate his students carefully. Kong just repeats that the conditions are exactly as he stated. With that, Kong agrees to test these rookie strength. This means the final graduation decision is completely up to him. Even sensing Kang's superior attitude, the president agrees to let him do whatever he wants. The president thinks his plan is flawless. It's still early in the season, and the students are talented. There's no way even the heroic King Kong can mess this up. But then Leono's mind completely changes. He sees with his own eyes the students he believed to be excellent getting absolutely crushed by Kong. After defeating everyone, Kong stands before a defenseless girl already crying over her failure. But then Kong tells her she passed. The girl, shocked, asks how. Kong replies it was pure luck. He explains she was the luckiest of the 12, the only one left standing. He tells her to always remember that for a player, luck is everything. Then he declares, for now, that's it. He congratulates her on her graduation and orders them to turn off the cameras. Suddenly, the furious director bursts in demanding an explanation. Kong just surprises him, revealing he knew the director's intentions all along. Kong explains that every single student here is related to an association executive or has powerful connections. That's why he concluded he was called to test their progress and collect data. Kong reveals the director's real goal. He wants to graduate failing rankers and use them as his personal hunting dogs. Kong blasts the entire organization, calling them rotten. This really ticks off the president. Liango snaps back, asking what an arrogant kid like Kong could possibly understand. He says Kong isn't a hero just because people call him one. He argues that players are just weapons for their nations in Korea and everywhere else. What they truly need in this new world, he insists, is a war hero. The president demands that Kong understand their position and cooperate. Kong just shrugs them off, thinking they're complete idiots who don't get it. Then someone rushes up to the president with urgent news. When Lee Sanango hears what it is, he freaks out. Kong, though, just smirks, saying the Player Academy is shutting down barely a year after it opened. A video has leaked showing the organization's dirty secrets. Kong reveals that the head of the National Intelligence Division backed him up, which is how he got the footage. Now the president's reputation is in tatters. Liango is absolutely furious with Kong. Kong uses his provocation skill, pushing the president's buttons even more. His system then alerts him. The clown is thrilled with Kang's actions and has decided to give him a reward. After that, Kong makes his exit. Outside, Kong thanks his contact. He asks if it's really okay for the National Intelligence Organization to hit the association this hard. His contact confirms it, explaining that the government isn't a fan of the association either. His friend adds that the government and the association are always butting heads. Kong loves this drama. He tells his friend to drop him off at the Tier 5 tower. A little later, Kong arrives. His system warns him that a hot and cold desert journey awaits. In a flash, he's teleported to the mission site. There, evil creatures are tearing through the local inhabitants. Kong sees this and notes that players always show up just in time inside the tower's domains. It's how they become saviors. Their sudden appearance makes them seem even more legendary to the locals. Kong crashes in, utterly smashing the enemies. Immediately, the natives see him as their only hope. He tells them they can call him whatever they want. The villagers see Kong as a priest of light, a divine messenger who brought them hope. But Kong can't shake a bad feeling about all of this. Kong then asks if there are any threats beyond these monsters. The others assure him they're in divine kingdom territory, so there's no need to worry about heretics, but then they reveal it will take 3 days to reach their destination. Kong is definitely not happy about this. He regrets rushing into this without more rest. Still, he tells everyone else to get some sleep. He'll handle any monsters no problem. The men thank him for standing guard. Kong puts on his vitality necklace to boost his life recovery. He also decides to open the gift from his monarch. Inside, he finds a superior ranked grove stone. He's actually impressed, saying he finally got something decent, but he figures he won't need it right now and stashes it away for later. Suddenly, giant scorpions start heading his way. Time to summon Blackie. His dark creature jumps into the fight. Kong finds this whole situation annoying, but he knows he can't just let his familiar do all the work, so he attacks from a distance using his blade that moves with his thoughts. He realizes how incredibly useful this ability is. After taking down the scorpions, Kong levels up. Even his sword manipulation skill card gets a boost. But wait, it's not over. More enemies appear. An adult sand predator this time. Kong realizes he won't be sleeping tonight. Still, he isn't afraid, trusting Blackie to handle it. While his dark creature does the heavy lifting, Kong rains down attacks from afar with his mind-controlled weapons, piercing the giant worm from every angle. Kong barely moves a muscle. His weapons do all the work for him. He finishes off the predator with ease using his ice abilities. This levels up his ice traits as well. As dawn breaks, they finally begin their journey to the destination. Kong spots a fleet of knights and wonders if they're allies. One of the men explained that these were brave warriors serving the light god. Kong immediately asked why they hadn't helped out last night. His ally quickly explained that these knights prioritized protecting their goods. They guarded that wagon with their lives no matter what. Kong then asked about the knights faction. His allies said they were the honored knights of the Order of the Bloody Cross. Kong shot back sarcastically, wondering if they had a golden calf or something super important hidden in that carriage. The knight leader told Kong to forget the carriage. He should focus only on his assigned task. Kong instantly realized these were knights using aura heart skills. They even managed to get the Light's Apostle involved. This just made Kong even more curious about what was inside that carriage. He tried to imagine what could be so incredibly valuable. One of his allies looked pretty embarrassed by Kang's bold attitude, but Kong suddenly yanked him close. He'd spotted an incoming arrow. Kong then shouted for everyone to get down unless they wanted to die. Arrows started raining down as they all scrambled for cover. One ally screamed about being attacked by heretics. He couldn't believe they dared enter divine kingdom territory. The enemies kept pushing forward. Kong watched, wondering how the knights planned to react. The knight leader yelled at his men not to let their goods fall into enemy hands no matter what. He ordered them to activate their aura shields. Kong instantly realized these knights didn't care about their own companions. All they wanted was to protect that so-called golden calf. Just then, a system alert popped up for Kong. Protect the caravan and transport the items safely. Kong got ready to fight, launching attacks from distance. One of the heretics scoffed, saying the attacks couldn't reach them. But then he noticed Kong wasn't even aiming at him. Suddenly, an attack burst from the ground, knocking the heretic right off his horse. Next thing they knew, Kong appeared right above them. But just as Kong was about to strike, he noticed something strange about the enemy's face. It was a desert elf. This instantly flipped Kang's plans. Instead of attacking, he decided to protect the elves, but his help wasn't exactly welcome. The fallen elf immediately sprang up, trying to attack Kong. Kong easily defended himself. While doing so, he asked the elf what was inside the caravan. The elf clearly thought Kong was trying to trick him and refused to answer. He then shouted for his companions not to listen to Kong, telling them to shoot mercilessly. Soon, the other elves let loose a barrage of arrows. But Kong threw up a magical shield, protecting both himself and the elf. His opponent declared that even if captured, he wouldn't say a word. Kong told him not to worry about that. He just needed to know what was in the caravan. That information would help him decide which side to take. Kong wasn't messing around. He told him he hadn't wiped them out, yet simply because he chose not to. It wouldn't be hard at all. To prove it, he unleashed a quick display of power that left every elf completely stunned. He warned them, move a single finger and they'd all die. He then pressed them again about the caravan's contents. That's when the elf revealed the truth. No goods, but Princess Syria herself. Realizing the princess was kidnapped, Kong ordered the elf to return and spread the word. He'd grant them a special favor and let everyone live. The elf hesitated, so Kong gave a final warning. Back off now, or everyone dies on the spot. The elf and his allies quickly got up and left. Immediately, a knight stepped forward and questioned why Kong had let their enemies escape. Kong simply replied he needed to confirm something first. Then, ignoring the knight's earlier words, he headed straight for the carriage. Instantly, a sword was pointed at him. The knight declared that no one, not even the Apostle of Light, could approach the caravan. Kong responded by summoning his dark creature, warning the knight to step back while he still had the chance. This cleared his path. He reached the caravan, flung open the doors, and asked the person inside if they needed help. Inside, he found the elf princess herself, Syria, princess of the kingdom of Ob. She was far from grateful, declaring she didn't need a heretic's sympathy. Immediately, Kang's system chimed in. It warned him about neglecting his duty, signaling that the monarch of light was watching his every move. Kong simply stated he had no other choice. He outright defied the system and shattered the chains holding the princess. This bold move earned him a hidden feat and a massive 300,000 conquest points. But there was a catch. The tower's objective instantly updated, and the mission difficulty skyrocketed. Kong declared the game was over, adding that freedom felt incredible. His system, however, shot back, vowing he would pay for challenging the light. It warned him that one of the tower's own forces had now turned against him. Suddenly, sentinels of light materialized in the sky, ready to do the monarch of light's bidding. On the ground, the knight leader declared that the Apostle of Light had been corrupted. He didn't care if Kong was a visitor. He was now a heretic who had defied the light. Kong scoffed, saying the knights were only acting tough because they had backup. He reassured the princess not to worry because he had backup, too. His system instantly confirmed it, announcing he had gained the support of the Monarch of Shadows for his choice. Now the lights would fade and darkness would spread. And wait, there's more. The Dark Council drops a buff. Curtain of absolute darkness. This thing messes with all the knights' vision. Everything's distorted by this dark curtain that's covered the whole area. Kong knew taking this side would bring even better rewards than if he just stayed in the light. Now the knights can't see the attacks coming from the darkness. They're taken down one by one. High above, the Monarch of Light's heralds can't do a thing. Not until one of them blasts a path open with light. Finally, they can see what's happening below, witnessing the knights' utter defeat by the darkness. They are furious about who caused all this chaos. But before they can even react, Kong attacks them, not thinking twice. The heralds can't believe a mortal dares to do such a thing. Kang's system then alerts him that the Sentinels of Light now have irreversible hostility towards him. On the bright side, his friendship with the Dark Council faction has shot up significantly. Kong levels up, and his dark powers grow stronger. Then his system pops up with another alert, claiming that countless factions throughout the tower are now observing his every move. It's a reminder that the world of the towers and the world within them are not the same. To explain, groups like the Knights of the Bloody Cross and the Elves of the Desert are creatures within the tower, part of its internal world. But the monarchs and their factions exist on a higher plane, which is the world of the tower itself. A player acts as an agent between these two worlds, almost like a monarch's forces directly interfering. Yet, players are not mere puppets following the monarch's commands. Players who understand things beyond just the game text can make truly imaginative decisions within the tower. Just like Kong, who predicted a better reward by joining the Dark Council and going against the light. If you have an idea, you can't hesitate to execute it. Even the monarchs themselves are bound by rules and restrictions. So no matter how much the Light Sentinels detest Kong for defying their monarch, they can't change things. This is a Tier 5 tower, so no angel above rank 8 can descend from the heavens. These are the tower's rules, which is why only the heralds present are attacking Kong. But with all the darkness, the heralds' vision isn't clear. Their attacks actually hit their own allied knights. Kong figures they don't care about their allies, seeing as the followers of light weren't all that different anyway. To Kong, this end for them just makes sense. Then Kong announces that his vision suddenly became crystal clear. Kong thinks the buff's powers are incredible, but the enemy is still quite strong. He realizes he needs to do something fast before it's too late. So Kong quickly goes to the princess and pulls her out of the war zone. Next, he calls Blackie and gives her the gift he received earlier, telling her to help protect the princess. He then uses the higher-ranked growth stone on Blackie, further boosting the dark creature's power. The princess sees an attack coming and warns Kong, but Kong doesn't need to do a thing. Without the princess even realizing it, the dark creature already protected her. It absorbs the incoming sky attacks and reflects them right back. Kong thinks this is great. His strategy worked perfectly. The enemies, on the other hand, just scoff, claiming it's futile and that these blades can't possibly hit them. Kong just shrugs them off and charges ahead. The Light Heralds get ready for another round. One even dives in for a close-quarters fight with Kong. Kong tries a sneak attack from behind, but his enemy is too quick, dodging just in time. This forces Kong to change his strategy. Kong realizes going head-on throws him off balance. He wonders if constantly moving is even helping. After taking a hit, Kong sees this fight is tougher than he thought. He's stumped by how fast they are, even with their debuff. There's no choice but to keep fighting. But then a moment of distraction and the enemy lands a solid blow. He finds all this flying around super annoying. Kong just wants to finish everyone off at once, so he considers using his secret weapon. One of the heralds shouts that they won't let him. Kong hesitates, unsure what to do, and then he takes a direct hit. He starts bleeding nonstop. If this keeps up, Kong knows it's game over. His weapons start glitching. He can't concentrate anymore. The enemies see their chance to finish him for good. But then his system pings. The battle-tested adventure blessing fixes at 100%, a less than 50% chance. His one who cheats, death blessing activated, making that last hit completely useless. And just like that, the radiant sword begins its localization. The herald's leader instantly knows something is wrong and orders a full retreat. But Kong just tells him it's too late. He summons a massive swarm of mind-controlled swords and flings them at the enemies, declaring it's time to end this. Every single herald takes a direct hit. That many swords just completely incapacitates them. Some try to escape, but Kong hunts down the stragglers and takes them out with ease. The fight finally ends. Kong levels up, having defeated them all. Even after all that, Kong looks exhausted. All his buffs vanish the moment the fight ended. He scans the area, seeing bodies everywhere. Then his companion appears. After everything, Blackie is safe. And not just Blackie, the princess is safe too. As Kong gets closer, she asks him why he betrayed his own people and went through so much for her. Kong tells her the rewards for doing it were just better. Syria asks if he has no empathy for his people. She also asks if he plans to demand a ransom for saving her life. Kong casually says he has a severe disease that makes him hate humans. He sees the princess is visibly shaken. He then apologizes for not taking her questions seriously. A few days later, they show up on horseback at the border of the elven kingdom of EOB. Syria tells Kong she's incredibly indebted to him, thanking him for all his help. Kong just tells her he only did it because he wanted a reward. So, the princess offered Kong a necklace. His system popped up, confirming he'd received the symbol of trust. It was a special accessory, its rank unknown. Kong didn't know its true value yet, but it felt important, like it would definitely come in handy one day. A little while later, Kong was on a train heading to Bususan Station. A friend had called him there with an urgent request. Kong immediately asked if something big had gone down. His friend explained that nothing had happened yet, but it would soon, and Kong needed to be present. The problem was Nadishet Ivanova. She was an internationally known criminal, part of the black players on the run from the Russian government. She'd snuck into Bususan through the port and was now clearing towers with 4 of her subordinates. On top of that, she held the legendary ability card, Absolute Darkness Curtain. As Kong stepped off the train, Park asked if he'd run into any zombies. Kong just shrugged, saying no. He just needed a car to pick him up. Park had just gotten intel on the tower Ivanova's crew entered, so he was sending Kong straight there. Kong quickly realized he was heading into a Tier 5 zombie apocalypse tower. He hadn't expected a normal tower, especially not a Tier 5. His system blared an alert. Survive the hungry infected and Tila's secret maintenance squad. These enemies were so bizarre, Kong even questioned if zombie was the right word for them. Suddenly, Blackie sprang forward, even without Kang's command. The shadowy creature seemed drawn to something specific. As Blackie faced an enemy, his hunger and urges surged. He swiftly maneuvered behind the creature, devoured it whole, and transformed into a giant whale. Kong knew then, eating that gross stone had truly changed his cat. After that impressive meal, Blackie looked incredibly satisfied. Just then, Nadisa Ivanova herself appeared. She announced that she'd been waiting for Kong, calling him the hero of heroes. She added that someone like him would never just leave a villain like her alone. Kong immediately told her he knew exactly who Nadesha Ivanova was, a red mafia associate the Russian government was after, who'd snuck into Bususin through the port with her subordinates. Nadesha then asked if he planned to throw her in jail. Kong replied no, but admitted he had no idea why she seemed so relaxed facing him. Nadesha internally scoffed, figuring Russian foreign intelligence probably had a pretty low opinion of her. Kong then speculated that her little gang also included Zasla members and deduced they planned to corner him and leave him for the zombies. Nadesha reminded Kong that she worked for Russian intelligence and asked if he still intended to fight her. Kong declared he wasn't there to become zombie food. He simply stated there was no other way for him to steal her legendary ability. Ivanova then realized she had been right about Kong all along. Ivanova immediately orders her men to attack. They open fire, bullets flying everywhere. But our hero is too fast, dodging every single shot. He tries to go after her, but Natasha somehow slips away. This actually impresses him. Now Kane is completely in the dark, wondering what just happened. Kane realizes Nadesha vanished into the shadows. Right away, he has to defend himself from her team. There are 3 riflemen and 1 sniper. As he dodges their bullets, he thinks maybe once but never twice. He knows the absolute darkness curtain debuff affects everyone inside it. So how are they still aiming at him perfectly? Just then, his cat Blackie shows up. Kane tells Blackie he needs his help. Blackie agrees to lend a paw. Outside, one of the shooters complains. Kane's ice shield is too strong. They need a new plan. Suddenly, the shooter spots Blackie. Big mistake. That was his last sight ever. Blackie attacks, taking down all the shooters. Someone shouts a warning. Stay out of the cat's shadows. Inside his shield, Kane wonders if they can actually escape. He thinks it doesn't matter if they can see the shadows or not. Suddenly, Nadesha Ivanova appears. She holds a knife to his throat. She tells him she might let him live, but only if he behaves. Kane retorts that only someone who could kill him would say something like that. Nadesha warns him not to underestimate her. She points out his massive conquest points from clearing the 5th tier tower. That wasn't a normal score. She assumes he finished the tower on difficult mode. Yet, he then went for an easier challenge, just like last season. Outside, the remaining men are scrambling, trying to escape Blackie's shadowy attacks. It's not going well for them. Kane knows this. He was just waiting for the perfect moment. Then he asks Nadesha how she plans to kill him. Nadesha is stunned. Everything she sees is a lie. She realizes she's been talking to an illusion this whole time. She fell right into his trap. Kane reveals he knew from the start this wasn't the absolute darkness curtain. He knows that ability messes with all senses. This could only be one thing, a legendary illusion ability, letting him manipulate what she sees. The ability is called Oculus. Nadesha realizes her plan is totally busted and she's completely stunned. The protagonist doesn't waste a second jumping on this perfect opening. Kong tells her it takes a real scammer to pull off a trick, but he admits it's not really her fault. He then says Nadesha is about to be the only one caught by a zombie, but just as he has her cornered, his system pings him with an alert. A player has died. His system adds that Tila's secret squadron has found survivors, specifically in Zone B16. Nadesha and her crew spot another squad closing in. They know they need to bolt, but it's too late. They're spotted instantly. An Iron Soldier follows confidential protocols, instantly eliminating their target. Kong watches this unfold and debates his next move. Stop them or defuse the shield. But before he can decide, he's attacked too. He quickly realizes there's no time to think. Suddenly, everything shifts. Nadia notices the change and freaks out. It's the NPC merchant. She complains it's a huge waste for 2 players to die without spending all their conquest points. She throws the blame at Kong. He quickly apologizes, asking how he can fix things. The merchant offers him a card pack, but Kong refuses to buy. Kong knows once her shop opens, there are no peace treaties, so he tells the merchant to offer the card pack to Nadesha instead. He also realizes the attacks happening right outside the shop are seriously bothering Nadesha. The merchant just shrugs, saying Nadesha won't survive anyway. Still, she offers the card pack, suggesting Nadesha might get lucky and pull a mythic card that could save her. Kong asks if selling card packs is literally all this merchant does. Then he's shocked. Nadesha Ivanova is actually spending all 374 of her conquest points on random card packs. He just watches. Nadesha tears open the packs, but only common cards pop out. She gets super frustrated, pulling nothing good. The merchant tries to boost her spirits, telling her there's still hope. Nadesha gets more and more nervous. Kong, meanwhile, comments that he finds the whole circus burning down quite amusing. After tearing through countless card packs, Nadia is down to her last one. This pack has to have something good or it's game over. Ivanova knows a mythological card is a pipe dream. Even a legendary or heroic one would be enough, but no luck. The saleswoman tries to cheer her up, offering a potion. Kong cuts in. He tells the saleswoman it's time to close up. The saleswoman argues that after all the unexpected deaths and sacrifices, it's definitely time for a legendary card. She even guarantees the next pack will have one. Kang's system, meanwhile, goes ballistic. It says even the Helm Monarch is in shock. It declares it can't help. Nadisa Ivanova immediately curses Kong out in Russian, hitting him with every insult she knows. Kong just shrugs it off, calling her curses inefficient, but he agrees to buy one more pack. He pulls a duplicate card. His system instantly asks if he wants to upgrade it by combining skills. Kong thinks this is way better than some useless regular skill. He wonders what he'll get. Nadisa is absolutely fuming. Kong ignores her. The saleswoman announces she's leaving already, but Kong tells her to wait. The saleswoman leaves anyway. Nadesha Ivanova starts swearing at Kong again. Suddenly, iron soldiers appear. They prepare to attack, ready to eliminate all witnesses with their confidential protocols. But before they can even move, Kong eliminates Nadesha Ivanova for good. Then he charges the soldiers. Kong isn't dying here, not like his last enemy. He fights with everything he's got, wiping out several soldiers. Kong attacks with his mind-controlled swords, but the soldiers hit back hard. They fire laser beams from heavy military weapons. Kong is stunned. All this from a pharmaceutical company. He thinks he should invest in pharma stocks when he gets home. But first, he needs to beat these guys. He quickly decides not to buy stock in this company. The destruction he's caused and all these soldiers he's wiped out mean huge losses for them. They might even go bankrupt. After obliterating everyone, Kong finally completes the zombie apocalypse tower. He even gets a random equipment ticket. As a victorious survivor, he also gets to pick one skill card from a failed player. He doesn't even bother looking at the other cards. He knows exactly what he wants. Ivanova's old Oculus skill. Once the tower is cleared, all players, even the failed ones, return to the previous world. Kong realizes 2 people from his group, plus Nadesha, died fighting Blackie. They likely couldn't escape because of their pain, but this only works if the tower doesn't cause true death. Before leaving, Kong tells Nadesha Ivanova, "Good job." She's totally confused. Kong basically asked if she wanted to get arrested. If so, he suggested she just turn herself in. Nadisa was shocked, asking if he was really just going to let her escape. Kong confirmed it. He then told her to spread the word. The Hero King was amazing and nobody should cross him. He even added that dead people don't talk, so he needed her alive to do his PR work. Later, Park questioned why Kong had let the enemies live. Kong simply explained it was for the legendary skill compensation they left behind. This really annoyed Park. He demanded to know why Kong would let traitors walk away with their heads still attached. Kong clarified that he wasn't some bloodthirsty killer. His real wish was to be more peaceful, even philanthropic. Park sarcastically praised Kang's speeches, then pressed him on what the enemy's real goal was. Kong didn't answer directly. Instead, he just announced that he was now managing Park's internet cafe. His friend gave up trying to get an answer, wishing Kong a safe return and telling him not to push himself too hard. Kong thanked him for the concern, promising he'd take care of himself. Inside the towers, players get all sorts of names. Kong was called a hero, but he honestly thought players weren't real heroes at all. They were just war heroes, nothing more. He knew people like Nadisa Ivanova who took down their own country's enemies without a second thought. But Kong refused to be that kind of hero. He believed there were no such thing as real heroes in his world. Suddenly, he was recognized. It was morning. He'd been careless. As he left, people who saw him whispered about his reputation. They weren't sure if the media reports about him were true, but none of that mattered to them. The only important thing was that Kong was the strongest active player in the country. Everything else was irrelevant. Kong even breathed a sigh of relief hearing that he started heading home, but ended up getting cornered before he even arrived. Journalists tried to mob him, but he slipped away before they could. He figured since he'd have to go into the tower eventually anyway, he might as well just rest there. Once inside, he heard some men announcing that the Holy Warrior Invocation ceremony was a success. Kong had no idea what they were talking about until the saint herself stepped forward. She said it was a pleasure to meet him. She claimed he was a warrior from another world who had answered her prayers. She introduced herself as Alicia Celestina, the 37th saint of the sacred kingdom of Celestina. Kong decided to play along. He declared himself the warrior who would save the world with speed and precision, then asked what he could do for her. The saint told him to start by explaining Phaya Continent's history from the very beginning. Kong figured it probably started with a huge fight between celestials and demons. The saint confirmed he was right. That's how the war between light and darkness began. Demons, usually stuck in the dark abyss, started invading the world of light. After about half an hour of this long story, Kong got impatient. He asked if they could finally go save the world. But the saint said, "Hold on, the story's just getting started." She explained that Celestials feared humans would misuse the Ark's power, so any chosen warrior needed approval first. Kong just turned around and started walking away. The saint asked him where he was going. He said he was going to work, but the saint pointed out he didn't even know where the Ark was. Kong asked if she knew. She admitted she didn't either. Kong just shrugged, saying it didn't matter. Then suddenly a portal ripped open out of nowhere. Demonic creatures started pouring out. The saint saw them up close, shocked. How did a demon get into sacred land? Knights immediately charged forward, declaring this place was off limits for demons. The fight was on. Kong watched the whole thing from a distance. Everyone wondered why their divine magic and aura blades weren't hurting the enemy. When the demon moved to attack, Kong quickly told everyone to get back. He then created a shield to protect them all. The saint offered to help, but Kong told her it was fine, insisting they stay behind his shield. She worried about him, especially seeing him jump directly into danger for everyone else. Alicia decided to pray to her goddess for mercy. Soon, everyone else joined her in prayer. Moments later, Kong shield shatarat. The saint quickly asked if he was okay. Kong said the enemy had fled, but before leaving, it sent a telepathic message. It was the demon's duty to claim the Ark. Soon, this light-filled world they hated would be drowned in darkness. The message warned Kong not to stand in their way. The saint was absolutely terrified by this message, but Kong wasn't letting that stop him. He pushed, saying they couldn't waste time. He asked if she had any idea where the Ark was, even though she was still stunned. Alicia finally said she had a guess. With that clue, Kong took off to find a relic. Meanwhile, Kong casually mentioned his cat did an amazing job playing the demon. Turns out that creature was just faking the whole thing. He realized he'd used it to intimidate everyone. Now, he'd have to avoid using dark skills for a bit. He also warned Blackie not to use his spikes for a while. As the saint noticed Kong falling behind, she asked if they should slow down, but Kong quickly refused. He figured his method was best. After all, this was how you properly used a legendary skill. Soon enough, they reached the Adventurers Guild. Kong mentioned hearing about some requirement to enter the labyrinth. The receptionist knew exactly what he meant, the adventurer's license. She told them to wait a moment. While they waited in the lobby, the saint explained their location. This was Garcia, the labyrinth city. It sat neutral right between the sacred kingdom of Ernestina and the Drowger Empire. Just like its name hinted, an ancient underground structure formed the city's very core. Kong mused that it would be tough to find a better place to hide the Ark, the celestial being's ancestral weapon. Soon, it was their turn. The receptionist handed over some paperwork for Kong to sign. The saint almost signed it herself, but Kong stopped her. He read the fine print. If you died in a maze, the guild took zero responsibility. Even worse, if they recovered your body or belongings, they became city property. Kong quickly asked if this was non-negotiable for the license. The receptionist explained the guild offered everyone a fair shot at the labyrinth's huge fortune. She added that adventures were risky and it was entirely an adventurer's choice to take the plunge. Kong sarcastically remarked that the guild clearly understood the value of life. After he signed, the receptionist wished him good luck. A little while later, they finally stepped into the maze. They started on level 1. Kong asked the saint if she was ready, and she confirmed she was. Right away, they met their first enemies. A huge rat and its babies. Kong created an opening, and with a precise hit, the saint struck the rat down. They moved fast, reaching level 5 in no time. Kong credited their speed to the saint's amazing skills, showering her with compliments. But the saint humbly pointed out that other adventurers had occasionally wiped out magic beasts, clearing the path ahead of them. She explained they were in a hurry, so she was grateful for those who helped clear the way. She suggested that if adventurers always cooperated, even demons wouldn't seem so scary. Kong told her not to worry. He promised to bring back the ancient weapons safely. Suddenly, some labyrinth bandits appeared. They told Kong and the saint they couldn't pass without paying a toll. The saint instantly worried, but Kong wasn't fazed. He told them he didn't know the local name for it, but this kind of labyrinth crime or adventure hunting was common in big labyrinths. The bandit, seeing Kong knew their operation, ordered him to hand over all his gear. The saint was terrified and tried to talk her way out of it. Kong then chimed in, asking the bandits to hear him out. He spun a tale about celestial beings and demons almost destroying the world. He declared himself the warrior sent to stop them, needing an ancient weapon hidden in this very labyrinth. Plus, he wasn't alone. He had the saint from the Holy Realm by his side. So, he politely asked for permission to pass. The saint quickly backed him up, emphasizing that it was all for world peace. The bandits just burst out laughing, telling them they wouldn't fall for such silly stories. Alicia Celestina grew uneasy as their plea failed. Kong, however, had seen this coming. He declared that in the labyrinth, everyone had to act like an adventurer, no matter if they were a warrior or a saint. Time for action. With that, he struck without mercy. The bandits tried to fight back, but they stood no chance against Kong. Suddenly, another person appeared, demanding to know how Kong dared to attack her men. She noted he was more skilled than he looked. The saint immediately recognized the woman. It was the guild receptionist from earlier, but she couldn't understand why she was here. Kong then dropped the bomb. The guild and these bandits were working together. They pushed new adventurers into deadly traps, forcing them to put a price on their own lives. Even if adventurers couldn't pay, their bodies still had value. Alicia Celestina was horrified. The receptionist sneered, calling her a knave. She asked the saint why she bothered becoming an adventurer if she couldn't handle how things truly worked in this city. But the receptionist declared it was too late for them and charged forward. Kong quickly defended himself, warning her to watch her step. She attacked from above, completely missing the sharp thorns sprouting from the ground. Kong had used his cat for this. While he kept the enemy busy, Blackie had quietly set the trap. He then told the saint the path was clear and they needed to leave right away. They pushed deeper into the labyrinth. Kong spots a good camping spot and decides they'll settle there for the night, continuing their journey tomorrow. He sees the saint is still shaken. It hits him that she's been like this ever since the bandit attack. He realizes she's just not used to seeing the world without her special saint status. Alicia Celestina then speaks up. She says the world is ending, but people still fight over stupid things. She asks Kong if he's used to seeing this kind of chaos. Kong thinks about the leaders from his old world. He tells her it doesn't matter where you are. Some things about the world just never change. His answer piques the saint's interest. She asks more about his hometown. Kong explains his world faced multiple crises. No one knew how to handle it, so everything devolved into total chaos. He admits he struggled to adjust at first, but after some time, once he cleared his head, he saw everyone was just fending for themselves. The saint then asks if Kong acted the same way. Kong throws the question back at her, asking what she thinks. She pauses, a long, awkward silence filling the air. When she finally speaks, her answer completely shocks Kong. He's genuinely startled, but then he just bursts out laughing. They both fall silent again for a bit. Kong then starts to wonder why it's so quiet. He's sure it's almost time for it to happen. Just then, the saleswoman pops up again, offering him a pack of cards. Kong wants to check the product list first. He's still 2 levels away from his big goal. A few days later, they hit level 100. Now, they're facing demons who are also hunting for the Ark. Kong charges forward while the saint provides backup from behind. This setup lets Kong attack without a hitch. He rips a snake's mouth wide open, top to bottom. Even the snake leader takes a hit. The demons groan about their loss, but Kong simply calls it a good journey. He didn't just level up. He also snagged 10,000 conquest points in a random skill package. Kong grumbles that the demons have terrible timing, only showing up after he finishes test. The saint, however, is ecstatic about their success, but then something catches them both off guard. Right in front of them, an item appears. It's clearly what they've been searching for. Kong walks up to the Ark. He remarks it looks pretty plain for an ancient weapon. His system confirms he's acquired the quest item. Immediately, the maze starts reacting. A portal rips open. The saint tells Kong they need to go through it to escape. Once they're outside, she breathes a sigh of relief, but then someone shows up. This new person claps for the saint and the otherworldly warriors. They say Kong and the saint made the Empire's mission to find the Ark way easier. Mile Draga shows up, claiming the Ark's power now belongs to him, the Empire's representative. He demands they hand over the item. The saint recognizes him as the Empire's crown prince. Kong quickly points out this prince isn't on their side. Mildas promises to spare their lives if they just hand over the Ark. But the saint argues back, saying he can't do that. The Ark's power is meant to protect the world from demons. Then the prince drops a bombshell. He already has an Ark fragment. He boasts that once he collects them all, even demons will bow to him. The protagonist, unfazed, simply says the prince just made his job easier by bringing the item he was looking for. Mild explodes in anger. He orders his men to attack, declaring, "It's time for the Empire's proud swordsmen to prove their worth and loyalty." His speech hypes up the entire army, and they charge. The protagonist's system pops up with an alert. The scenario is ending soon. It warns that the prince and his royal guards are after the Ark's power. Kong doesn't just stand there. The saint gives him a massive buff, summoning celestial armor that supercharges his defenses and his attacks totally amplified. With this insane power surge, Kong can fight an entire army head-on, no problem. One of the prince's men wisely suggests retreating, saying it's too dangerous to stay. But the prince, full of arrogance, snaps back that it's not time to flee yet. Kang's system blares another warning. The prince is absorbing the ark's power. The protagonist had predicted this. He warns the saint about the danger. As the protagonist takes cover on the other side, the prince begins a horrific transformation into a giant beast. Some of his own men try to ask if he's okay, but he just roars for everyone to get out of his way. He's now a full-blown demonic beast, even turning on his own soldiers. After that, the protagonist combines his abilities with the saints and summons magical armor. Then he tosses a potion, unleashing an earthquake and fire. The whole area erupts in chaos, creating a perfect distraction for him to close in on the enemy. Kang sees his chance and starts hitting the giant monster from multiple directions. Nulvis goes absolutely ballistic, roaring that the protagonist can't hide in the fire forever. Nulvis tries to attack, but quickly realizes it's not the protagonist, just a fire illusion. The protagonist pops up on the other side, sarcastically saying, Nulvis must be seeing things. With all that power going in his head, then he unleashes a surefire attack on the monster. Nulvis is completely caught off guard, taking a hit that rocks him from head to toe. The protagonist emerges victorious. Suddenly, his system pings. He just got the second arc fragment. Kang now has the item's full power. It's so strong, it even shocks the saint. She just can't imagine its true strength. Kang thinks everything went great. All he cares about are the levels and points he just earned. He then gives the arc to the saint. She's confused. Why would this warrior from another world trust her with such power? She insists she's not qualified, but Kang tells her she's the only one capable. Otherwise, this power would fall into Emperor Draga's hands. He urges her to protect it, warning that if she doesn't, it'll still land in Draga's clutches. The saint says she can't be irresponsible with the ark's dangerous powers. Kang explains that from his experience, people who only seek power and destruction often carry a heavy burden. But he believes she will fight for good alongside everyone else. She thanks him, saying his words made her feel much better. Kang is happy to hear that. With the mission complete, Kang gets a bunch of special rewards and heads home. A week later, he thinks back. He only finished one tower. He went in expecting to relax, but ended up pushing himself way too hard. Then Kang spots some internet articles about himself. Turns out not everyone sees him the same way. It's still mid-January, and Kang knows there are bigger things happening. A few days later, he steps out again. As usual, reporters swarm him, trying to get answers, but Kang just walks right past them, straight into the next tower. The reporters are left staring, wondering if he entered the Awakening Tower. Inside, an entity reveals it's been waiting for him a long time. Kang tells it to cut the small talk and get straight to the test. He soon faces an unknown challenge. The entity scolds him for being so impatient, adding that the test was going to start anyway, even without his complaints. The test begins. Kang finds himself in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by circular mirrors. He smashes them and tries to move forward. But then, a copy of himself appears, wearing a clown mask. It comments that Kang doesn't even seem surprised to see it. Kang isn't interested in talking. He gets ready to attack, but his opponent is just a shadow, mirroring every single move. So, when Kang attacks, the clown copy does the exact same thing, and their powers collide. Kang quickly changes his strategy. He uses his shadow creature, keeping the enemy distracted. The clown copy mirrors everything, and Kang finally realizes this thing is a perfect copy of him. Despite the clown being a perfect copy, Kang doesn't stop his assault. He thinks about how he's fought this same type of enemy every season, and honestly, it's getting old. He finally unleashes his dark magic attacks, determined not to give the enemy any advantage. The clown strikes, but Kang's magic shield protects him. Thanks to his blessing, the one who deceived death, Kang naturally dodges the lethal attack. He immediately takes the chance to retaliate. Kang figures the way to finish this fight is actually pretty simple. He doesn't change his approach. Kang charges at the enemy, aiming to pierce him. But because his moves are perfectly mimicked, Kang also gets hit head-on. That was his plan all along. The clown then asks Kang why he's so serious. He tells Kang they could be a hero or a villain, and it's up to them to decide their path right now. The clown tells Kang not to take himself so seriously because, according to him, nothing in this world should be taken seriously. Kang just tells the clown he talks too much and that he has a way to silence him forever. Then Kang places his hands on the clown's face and explodes his head, definitively defeating the clown. Kang then takes the clown's mask for himself. He asks if there's anything else he needs to do. Suddenly, the clown monarch appears. He calls Kang the child of 1,000 faces and talents and tells him to choose what he wants to become next. Sometime later at a hospital, Master Park frantically runs to a room. He finds Kang lying in bed. Park is desperate. He heard his friend was hospitalized and rushed over as fast as he could. But when he gets there, Kong is acting like nothing even happened. Kong asks Park how he could possibly come to the hospital empty-handed. Park realizes Kong still has his sense of humor, which means he must be okay. Park tells him to stop messing around and get back to fighting for world peace. After all, Kong is a hero. Kong asks if his manager expects him to work with a hole in his chest. Park insists that Kong must have chugged a healing potion or something similar. But Kong explains that despite appearances, this isn't just a common wound. Park isn't surprised knowing Kang's monarch and says that monarch isn't easy to deal with. Kong says it's actually not that serious. He explains that awakening at level 50 happens in different ways depending on the monarch. In his case, his reward for ending himself was to gain his own talent. This means he absorbed all the skill and attribute cards he'd collected so far. Not only that, but his skills also improved. And with this, he got everything he ever wanted. Next, he asks Park about his new mission. Park explains he needs to find and defeat a real villain. These days, true villains are rare. This guy is known as the Black Player. This Black Player is absolutely terrorizing the city. He acts like some twisted maestro, orchestrating total chaos. He calls everyone ignorant, claiming he, the great maestro, will show them the way with his amazing talents. He even sets the city on fire, saying it pleases the Fire Monarch. He insists only the Fire Monarch truly understands his art, as always. Soon, the maestro spots the police closing in. He calls them fools for trying to catch him. The police watch him disappear into a tower, leaving them baffled. Later, the protagonist arrives. He sees the city's destruction firsthand. This guy, he thinks, is no ordinary psychopath, so he enters the tower hot on his trail. Inside, Kong finds an arena. His opponent, the maniac maestro himself. The maestro, however, clearly didn't expect to face Kong. He knows Kang's reputation. The protagonist tells him they're fighting, ready or not. The maniac asks if the protagonist can understand his art. Kong just shuts him down, calling him a crazy magician wannabe. He says he can't understand why the world is full of lunatics like him. The maestro is furious. He hates hearing his art called something mass-produced. He immediately unleashes fiery attacks, trying to burn the protagonist alive. But Kong just scoffs, saying charlatans always get irritated over nothing. This only pushes the maestro's buttons further. Then Kong spots an attack from above. The pyrotechnic maniac thinks he's got him, that he's defeated Kong, but Kong is too smart for that. He easily escapes, telling his opponent he'll have to try a lot harder to catch him. The enemy launches another attack. This time it hits. He laughs in Kang's face, claiming Kong helped him create an amazing melody. But just as he's celebrating victory, the protagonist reappears. He reveals it was just one of his illusions, then charges forward, attacking the enemy. The enemy dodges Kang's attack, which actually impresses Kong. But even though he dodged, he's hurt. He becomes furious, yelling that a product of illusory art has no right to speak. Kong just tells him he's not good enough to even comment on that. Kong then uses his ability, creating several clones of himself. He tells the maniac, this is the audience he deserves because this just might be his last performance. But the opponent screams back that his art will not die. Then he triggers a tremendous explosion from within himself. Kong was completely caught off guard. His system then confirmed he won the battle. He knew players couldn't kill each other inside the tower. He figured he should have just waited for the maniac to lose it at the exit instead. Kong left the tower and immediately teleported to France. Just as he expected, the magician's specialty was sudden death, and Kong found him right in his home country. He was sure his enemy couldn't get away. This time, Kong attacked with his ice blades, making sure the enemy couldn't escape. He charged forward, striking directly, ready to finish this for good. But then, a shield suddenly appeared around the magician. Kong realized it wasn't the magician's doing. Someone else had stepped in. A woman emerged from the other side and ordered Kong to drop his weapons. He recognized an old acquaintance, Saint Mary Jurger, master of the Knights and Rescue Guild. Kong asked her what she was doing there. Mary explained that the French government requested her guild's help. They were investigating the Black Player and had been waiting for him to leave the tower to capture him. Kong asked if they could just take him out of the shield, but Mary said the Black Player couldn't die yet. She added that killing someone mid-pursuit was only okay in specific situations. Kong sarcastically remarked that she really lived up to her saint title. Mary countered saying revenge only leads to more revenge. She told him that just because the enemy acted like a monster didn't mean Kong should too. Kong asked what was so wrong with killing the Black Player, especially after everything he'd done. Mary responded that she was